So your passport can be taken at any time for any reason. That's correct. Your passport can be taken away. It can be cancelled. Let's say you're in a country, you hold a passport, and you are accused of, let's say, a crime. Maybe you have done something wrong, or maybe you have not done something wrong. You should never be doing anything wrong or illegal or committing a crime. But there are circumstances where, let's say, you got falsely accused, you are under trial, and for a situation like that, your passport can be impounded. The police can actually keep your passport, detain you, or keep your passport and send you away, but then in that situation you are stuck. There are also scenarios where the passports can get cancelled. Let's say they think you owe taxes, but you feel that you're in the right and you haven't done anything wrong. You have filed them correctly. There is a disagreement with the authorities, but they feel that you owe a certain amount of tax. The passport can be cancelled. Let's take a very popular British example. Someone travels somewhere, the passport can be taken away. You might still continue to be a citizen of that country, but someone can very easily take away your privileges or take away that access, the all-important passport. The general belief amongst most people, if not all, is that you own the passport. It's your document. No one can strip you off of your passport, but that's entirely incorrect. The citizenship might be more solid. Let's say they cannot take that away from you unless you have truly gotten yourself into serious trouble. But when it comes to passport, it is not something that you own. It is something that can be easily taken away by the authorities. Let's say they don't permanently take it, but they can keep it and eventually even cancel it. There have been situations where people have been living in their country of residency. They hold passports from some other countries. They, in certain cases, may not have done anything wrong, and they don't want really to, maybe they aren't able to defend themselves because they come from countries where the defense procedures aren't really well regulated or well governed. In those cases, let's say if their passport is cancelled, then they are in deep mess where they feel they haven't done anything wrong. But now that their passport is cancelled, if they exit the country of residency, and because their stay in that country is based on some nationality and a passport, they might permanently lose access to the country of residency. So just imagine yourself in a situation where you're, let's say, from South Asia and you live in the Gulf, right? You hold one of the South Asian passports, and for whatever reason, maybe it's your fault, then it's a different story. But in a situation where it's not your fault, they cancel your passport for whatever reason, right? Whatever happens in your home country, your passport is cancelled. And if you exit your country of residency, you lose the access permanently. Now, this is an extreme situation, not that this happens every day, or this is not something that you would commonly encounter, but what if something like this happens? So shit happens in life. Let's say there's a medical issue, you have medical insurance. There's life insurance. There are different types of insurance like travel insurance. But what about a passport or travel document insurance? You just have one which doesn't belong to you. Whatever bad happens, it can be taken away. And if that document is taken away, you're absolutely stuck. You cannot travel, you cannot move, and you are seriously in a deep situation at that point in time. Therefore, one should not truly rely on their passport thinking that it's a permanent document. It's a very contingent document, right? If the record is 100% clean, then yes, you may continue to renew your passport. You might face delays in renewal, but at least you will get that document. But the moment something really wrong happens, and in situations where it's not your fault, you might be in some serious trouble if you don't have this passport insurance, or in certain cases nationality or citizenship insurance. So in today's day and age, with so much complexity, times are not like before. Times have changed, and most of my viewers must have realized that things that were happening 10 years ago, they have completely changed. Something totally different happens at a different level in today's day and age. And that is where you have to keep up to pace with what is happening, with the things that are changing, and therefore having a second passport is an absolute must in today's day and age. Now let's take an example here. Let's take that same example of someone living in Gulf. Let's say they have a passport from one of the South Asian countries, and tomorrow if one of their the passport that they hold gets terminated, or let's say it gets cancelled or impounded, then they don't have anything else. But in this situation, if they had alternate passport or passports, and if that insurance was in place, the net difference that it would make to them would really be negligible, because they can easily defend themselves. They can continue to be in their home country. They can continue to travel. It's more complex than we speak. It depends upon your circumstances, but in most cases, as long as you have active travel documents that are issued by other nations, you should be able to travel in a lot of circumstances. So if you had, let's say in that case, if someone had a second or a third passport, they were independent of this situation to a large extent. Let's take another example. Let's say you're in the North Americas, you have a residency in, let's say, the Latin Americas. Let's say you live in Mexico, you hold one of the Western passports, and if for whatever reason, if your passport gets terminated or canceled, a lot of times they cancel your passport. So if it gets canceled, then if you have an alternate passport, till you fix the situation, till you defend yourself and prove yourself, let's say you are clean, you have not done anything wrong, it's a matter of spending the time fighting your case and coming out of it, your life moves on, your life continues uninterrupted, because you have put this insurance in place. You have this alternate travel document which can come in handy in such situations. Now I strongly suggest no one should do anything wrong or illegal. Always follow the laws and the rules in whichever country you are. But in a situation where you are right and something wrong has happened, let's say you are falsely accused, it's a mistaken identity, it's something that needs to be fought out in court, it's one party versus the other, who is then correct, we don't know. Sometimes even you don't know, right? So you want to defend yourself, and sometimes you can defend and win that situation. There's also benefit of doubt that can come into play. But until all of that is taken care of, you need insurance, and that insurance is the insurance of a second passport. Now the question is, how do I get this all important insurance in place? Now you have certain over-the-counter options where you pay some money and get a quick passport. Now some of these options could be lightweight, meaning you are checked completely before you obtain this benefit, and then you are continued to be monitored after you get it. So there is some check on you, and the moment something goes wrong, in certain cases, that passport can also be terminated. So in that sense, I consider that as a lightweight option, where if things are good, things are rosy, then yes, you have that for namesake. But if things go wrong, there are situations or certain examples where it can be taken away equally, right? Something really crops up in one location, there goes this option as well, where they say, you know what, we don't want to deal with all of this. You paid us the donation, we gave you the passport, but now that you are in trouble, let's take this back, or let's keep this on hold until you resolve the situation. Some of these are lightweight options. Now, what's truly a real insurance? A real insurance is something that is obtained naturally through hardcore ties to the country. Let's say you have invested legitimately, you have purchased your property, you've gone through the process, you have obtained a residency permit in the country, you've actually at least partially lived in the country, gone through the process and obtained a new nationality. Now that is something that's called as naturalization. It is not citizenship by investment. Yes, you can have a citizenship by investment as a temporary vehicle if you look at it that way. It could be a permanent vehicle depending upon what you're trying to accomplish, but let's say it's an interim temporary option. It does function like that depending upon what you're trying to accomplish. But then eventually, once you have a solid country, and ideally you want a diversified country, not something the same old, right? So if you have multiple copies of the same type of or the same level of access document, then there is no diversity. You want something contrasting, and once you have that contrasting option, certain countries provide more protection than the others. So it all depends upon what kind of nationality you want to acquire. And then the nationality is not just an insurance, it's an investment in a country, it's dedication to a country. So unless you aren't dedicated to the country is never going to be dedicated to you. So if you think you're going to pay off and buy a simple travel document, great for certain use cases. But if you're looking for true integration and true protection and true backing by the country, then you have to select which country you're talking about wisely. Now, there are a lot of residencies across the globe, high quality, rich residencies, which not only give you the lifestyle, but they also provide you with the backing and the protection that you might be really looking for from this Plan B insurance. And some of these are really low-hanging fruits, meaning they can be obtained by simple investments, and these are not donations, unlike you do with the over-the-counter passport purchase options. These are legitimate investments in your own property, so you're not losing any money, you're diversifying your assets in a different location, and in return you're getting that all important residency. So you have a Plan B home, and then if you get your citizenship or nationality through that route, it is somewhat of an investment, but eventually what you get is a solid Plan B insurance, nationality, a citizenship, a passport. So you have more freedom, more flexibility. You aren't worried anymore about your passport being cancelled. Let's say health reasons, let's say travel reasons, let's say some local issues. You can always lose access to your one passport, but if you have the other passport, then you are protected. Now, if you are in a country where you have your passport, typically only that country's passport is valid in that country. So in that case, your second passport is as useless as your first passport if you run into a situation. But this comes in handy when you are in a third country. Let's say you're residing abroad, you have your nationality from country A, you have your passport from country B, and if A, you face issues with A, then you at least have B to protect yourself till you clear your issues with country A in this case. So that's wherein I think your second passport is extremely important, extremely useful. Now, what are some of the hot top picks that one can consider? Now, there are several options based upon your level of investment. There is the Portugal Golden Visa, which gives you your own property at as low as 280K, which can lead to a Portuguese citizenship in 5 years. You have the Dutch nationality that can be obtained indirectly through the Curacao route, where again you're looking at a 280K investment in your own property, very flexible residency. Once you qualify for citizenship, you can then get your Dutch nationality, one of the strongest passports or the strongest passports that you can obtain. Then you have several Latin American options, Brazil, Argentina, Mexico, and a host of other countries that have flexible options. Dominican Republic is a very good option, where 200K in your own property, and you can obtain a Dominican Republic nationality in as early as 2 years. So that's an attractive option as well. So if you want to get started with any of your residencies or investments that lead to that all important citizenship, you want to discuss your circumstances or discuss what type of insurance works best for you, click that link in the description, book a call with us. We can discuss your circumstances and jointly figure out the strategy that works best for you and get you started with the option of your choice. And if you haven't subscribed, then definitely go ahead and subscribe to this channel so you're always up to date on the latest and greatest regarding any of the program changes. And if you liked this video, give me a thumbs up and see you in the next one.